What's going on, guys? Time for another recap. All right, man. YouTube is all fire today as we jump into a lot of predictions. The YouTube, the Twitters, the stock twists. I posted in a lot of different places. A lot of stuff was going to happen here. If you don't follow, you should. So hopping right into the train like we like to do on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. So I had a couple different interesting little plays here. I'm not going to go over these two, but we had a really good 30-point long call here. We ended up to the day with an amazing P&L. Not sure if I'm comfy posting that one, but it was a pretty solid one. You know, boasting and bragging, not really my jam. So July 8th, yesterday and the day prior, 7th, we've been talking about this since July 5th, and I predicted this a while back, and I said for the short case scenario, we will be needing to backtest some of these blue levels, and if we do not, to remember that. And we went through the last YouTube video as well, and I said these blue anchors, they will come back for backtest eventually, and that was way back on the 5th. So if we run away from these anchors that are trying to catch up as support, eventually we'll come back down, right? And it's the perfect timing because we'll go over it in a second here. We're going to scroll all the way back up to our last short call here. And for my premium group, I did do this free call for Twitter as well, but my premium group smashed it today on how many amazing calls that we had today. But short confirmation under 498.57, short target hit 497.34. So obviously everything biased was short after a pop. So my bias this morning was a pop to short, and we were looking for that to continue. So I said you would get a short under 498.57. You'll come all the way down to 497. We got 34. I'm going blind. 34. And that was my last free one. And then we reiterated a couple hours later saying, hey, we called it. Big deal. Blah, blah, blah. Right. So let's get into it for the Qs. How did we know we were coming all the way down to 597.34 and lower for the anchors? Well, we had a after hours algo right here. You can't even see it on the minute chart. It's ghostly. So you got to know what to look for. And if you want to trade with us live every morning, it's in the description because we love to pinpoint algorithms. Now, 18:10 Central Time, 5-minute high low. That is where the algo is from. My thesis for the day, and including a lot of others and our friends in the community, we do not have back test of anchors or moving averages, right? So my collective was a pop too short today. And it's funny because I said we deserve 500. If you watched the last couple of YouTubes, we talked about scaling up, and same as my premium group, I said we'd probably come up to 500 before the dump, psychological half, whole dollar. You know how that works, right? So we did click into 500 there to the exact penny and was met with obvious resistance. So we have a fib box back here we're going to draw, okay? And this box is right there from after hours. So, but to get into the price action here, you're just gonna have to pay attention to the fibs on the right side of the screen there. So the box high-low is from right here, okay? So that's our box high-low. Kind of like the yellow a little bit more. It's a little bit more apparent on the screen. So this is our high-low of the fib. We pushed up, and what do we usually look for? The 1618. After we hit the 1618, generally we come back down to the 100, the golden pocket, back to the 100 or 0, and then back to the bottom, right? So we were going to come back into right here, the 0% fib from the 100% fib. So this was that short call that I made here for the group. It broke into the fib box. It retraced to the top. And I said, as long as we stay under 498.57, we got a sure shot right down to the bottom of the fib, 497.34. Now, of course, we had further short targets coming after that because we have not had a back test here of our 666 moving average. You can see on the 5-minute right here, that is our light purplish dude right here. So you can see all the way up here for the last 4 days, we have not had a back test of that guy. And we finally conked out. And if you notice in our last YouTube video yesterday, so we're gonna give it a small inside day and whatever it wants to do after that, after a 3-up, right? And generally speaking, after 3, she usually slows back down. And we got a huge 3-up to all-time highs here on the Qs, which is a little messy right here. We could go to different one here, but you can see the candle charts up here making that push, right? So not only have big 1, big 2, big 3, then we had a small day, and then we pushed up to 500. Now, generally speaking, we could get a little bit of a pullback. We had Powell today, we had Powell tomorrow, we got CPI a little bit later in the week and Thursday. So let's see if the volatility can continue since we already hit a very nice big 500. Now, it's not guaranteed to do that, but we had 2 days in a row of gap ups that I said would not fill as well. So we started way up here for the open, and I knew we were going to come back down to yesterday's highs. This is the same thing with SPY, except for we didn't have too bad of a kind of like trend on this one. This was more of a chop fest here on SPY, but Little divergence there as SPY just chops back and forth right at yesterday's highs, right? So that orange dashed line you can see right here, that's yesterday's highs coded in for us, so we know where that is. So we didn't open up in too much of a gap up there, but Qs did. So we were looking for Qs for the short, right? So let's bring up those fancy anchors we're calling for days and days back. So when we finally do break trend, we are going to back test these blue anchors. So I'll get on a single pane here, and we can see right here that when we drew these anchors to the upside, we had no hits on the day of, no hits on day 2, and no hits on day 3. So no back test on 3-day up. Imagine that. We love things in threes. I can't really explain too much further unless you're part of the premium, but we have algos and codes that work with the 3. Okay, so we had some shorter term anchor VWAPs. We'll get rid of these tops here, and I'll make some nice clear cut ones for you. But when there is a top-down anchor VWAP, which ranges from the top of price action, and we get a force up overnight, which again we call for, big scam up to the top here. They love to do it overnight, right? They do it when the futures are open, not when the whole stock market's open. It's not easy to manipulate 500 plus stocks during the live trading hours. They do it after hours because they manipulate futures, right? Because they push up 10 points on ES equals 1 point on SPY. So we can run this up, 20, 30, 40 points sometimes overnight and get, 2, 3, 4 point gap up. And that's what they do overnight. They do that with futures. Now, these magnets, well, this is what I call magnets, we have these anchors, and they come from the top down. So generally speaking, you're looking for resistance play here. But when we get an opportunity to see them needing to come back as support, right, and come back down and back test, because they are top downs, right, we do not deserve the price action above them, is what I'm trying to say. These are tops, and they are pointed down. Now, when something, like we explained in the last YouTube video, breaks up over a top-down VWAP, right, and starts cruising, right? After hours, does not matter. Pre-market, does not matter. Comes back into live trading. Well, where's the live trading open? Right here, right? Live, right? So that opens up, and where do we go? I said pop to short because I figured, we're right there. You might as well pop to 500 as a whole psychological number and then die off, right? I mean, we've made it this far. You might as well hit the 500 goal. So it pops up, hits the 500 goal, and then moves down. So we were short under 500, comes back down to all of the anchor VWAPs we're looking for. And this hit about 2 points or so to the downside on Qs. That is 80 points on the NQ. And that is only to the freaking VWAPs. It put in another huge leg down for that 5 minute. We are not done yet. We are still looking for the blue back test. This is just the start of the crack. So tomorrow, right, coming into another day, if Powell, man, has some other stuff to say, we will see the blue VWAPs catch up. Still waiting on that, but as this third push came into today and into 500, we just weren't looking for that any higher than 500. So we did have a really good back test of these VWAPs. We absolutely killed it today for all things trade across all indices. Now, as far as SPY is concerned, I do want to go over a couple little things here in SPY real quick, but we did have a beautiful 3 up to red and then just another red at all-time high, slowly moving, which is perfectly fine. But some of the signals that we've seen here kind of match up with the VIX that we'll go over in a minute here. So we had a really small buy wave and sell wave combination here where we had put a big buy wave on the MAC, and then we put in a small, and then a big, and then we crossed those moving edges back to the upside. As we continue to climb this huge rally, this last week and a half rally has been exponentially a little stronger than most of these rallies here. And earnings is right around the corner, so I don't know if we're going to keep up on that, but we are starting to get some sellers in control here. So since last month, you start to see these daily closes where these seller volumes start to get up, and they're starting to close pretty high. So that's starting to give me that kind of woozy feeling where I'm starting to look for my 8, 12, 15% mini correction coming soon here. And if Powell and CPI is the one that does it, well, great. We have a couple other indicators here we'll go over with the VIX, but I do want to point out the RSI and the MAC are getting a little dangerous there. On the SPY, let's bring it over to the VIX and the daily chart here. The volatility index, can you see all that? You can, okay. So the daily chart here on the volatility index as well, let's make a clean cut here so we can see this, is definitely giving some signals of hold as well. And I'm very big on 50% and partials, right? So I want to see 50 RSI, 50 MAC, and I want to see them above or below this, right? So right now on the daily chart, we're getting waves to the buy side of VIX. We're coming from across way back on 527. We're on the way back up. I know it's a couple months ago, go, but we're cruising up on a cross. We're getting some deep consolidation here, and nothing but higher low and higher highs on the RSI. So we are starting to slowly prep for that bounce pop here that the VIX can potentially give us. Now we have hit a -1 deviation on the daily chart, which is pretty big, comes back up to the center and consolidates. Now, if we have a catalyst that's going to start kicking us up to the upside here and starting to let loose some of this higher low, higher high action in the MAC and the RSI, and potentially get to that top side and dwindle down a little bit, well, it'll be more than welcome, right? So going by some 30-30 here, I do like to watch some of the longer term for swings on the 30-30 as well, 30-day back deviation on the volatility index. And again, it's very rare to get outside the +2, even +3. That is insane. So whenever you see a +3, I'm usually shorting or longing the VIX there big time on options. So if you see something that extended, market definitely has got to poise back down. And when we're seeing stuff like -2 get very close and shy, you got to pay attention to that stuff, definitely. So we've been coming off of support here, deviation, -1, -1, -1 on that 30, pops back up, but we're not really getting any high, right? In the last couple of weeks here, we're not really getting too many highs. We're getting one little push back up here to the 2s, and then we've stayed underneath the 1, stayed underneath the 1, stayed underneath the 1, which is fine. But we have spent more time kind of rejecting these tops than we have the bottoms. We don't spend as much time on the bottom of the deviation, okay? Which gives us more of a ramp back up potential to the top side of some of those deviations. So if we start to see that VIX wake up here, maybe into Powell or, so on and so forth, we're going to get some different volatility poison here, and it is going to be some good trading. And I want to see some speed finally to this market where we see some clear-cut red candles to the downside here. But the VIX is doing what it needs to do for consolidation and longs. Powell kind of is a little back and forth, a little pop to there. But I just think as we get another consolidation day up here, waiting for moving averages to catch up, we got Qs. But if you notice here on the SPY, the 5-minute 666, which is a pretty big deal to us here at BRT, and more than trading, is still not caught up yet. So we don't have any higher low, higher highs that are breaking to back test off that trend down to the 666. So maybe that happens tomorrow or the next day. We'll see what Powell has to say. But right now, we are just starting that formation where it's a danger of coming back down. And the blue anchor VWAPs, like we said, do need to get those back tests. I'm hoping tomorrow or CPI, even if we have a burn day tomorrow where it just goes sideways here, maybe in another one where we don't have too much going on at the beginning of CPI, because we're going to have Powell tomorrow. So let's say the price action comes up for Powell tomorrow. We get another kind of static day and it comes through, and maybe we hit the blue anchors. Great. And then we can pop up a little bit from the CPI and then flush or bounce from the CPI. It doesn't matter to me. The one thing I'm worried about is shorting any good structure breakdown into the blue VWAPs that we've been posting about for over a week. And it is starting to come to fruition right now. So pay attention to those downsides, pay attention to under 500, pay attention to a relax so we can get down into these anchor VWAPs that need to be back tested again. So we've had multiple days worth of no back test, and these will come to fruition. Right now they're calculating at 494.80 to about 495.66. Now, not enough time left in the day to really watch this thing smash out, I think, to the downside, but we do have an opportunity to see this coming up in the weeks to come, and maybe even the days with CPI and Powell. So let's keep that in mind. Let's keep the back test of those anchors very, very in the forefront of your memory, because we've been watching that for over a week and planning for a little bit of the short breakdown, and we finally hit 500. So let's plan for that continuation short coming from today, tomorrow, and the next day. If you find any value in these videos, you want to trade with me live, you could totally do it. Description has the link. You want to trade with us through Apex Trading, you want to trade with us at Boiler Room Trading, everything's in the description. As we talk about these trades, we play these trades out day in, day out, and we even have affiliate programs signed up. Right now, we are running a deal on our month, 6-month, and 1-year membership. So if you want to stop by, check it out. We have coupon codes for that. It is posted on X, pinned to the top of my X account. So all your discount codes and links are there. Also put them in the description where all the other links are. So if you want to come join us and listen to me narrate the markets and trade these trades and these play calls that we post on X for free, I post a lot more than just 1 or 2 a day in our Discord. So you guys take care, trade safe for the rest of the day here, and we'll see you on the next.